Our next story is from India, of how India is emerging as a global manufacturing hub. And tonight, we're not talking about just another manufacturer, we're talking about tech giant Apple. It is completing 25 years in India and it has big plans for this market. This week, Apple CEO Tim Cook will be in India. He's inaugurating the first Apple stores in the country. So far, Apple sold products in India through local partners. Tim Cook will also attend some high-profile meetings while he's here, like one with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, also India's Electronics and IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav. And the agenda of these meetings is pretty clear. Apple wants to increase its manufacturing base in India. Apple wants to make in India and ship across the world. And this is a major shift because so far, China has been the hub of Apple's manufacturing operations. But as the world decouples with the dragon, India is emerging as a compelling alternative. So Apple is looking to manufacture in India and it's opening stores. It's also working with Indian app developers. Apple says it supports 1 million developer jobs in India. And reports say India will push Apple to make more iPhones here. Right now, Apple has 3 manufacturing partners in India: Foxconn, Pegatron, and Wistron. And they're all expanding their India operations. They're shifting 12 to 18% of Apple's total iPhone assembly operations from China to India. 12 to 18%. Already, key Apple products are being made in India, like the iPhone. 5% of the world's iPhones are now made in India. By 2027, Apple wants to boost this number by 10 times. It wants to make 50% of its iPhones in India. So Apple is bullish when it comes to India, and the company's India pivot did not happen overnight. They began working on this in 2016, only now they're accelerating. That's because the shift away from China has become inevitable. Tim Cook's love affair with China is well known. In 2015, he'd explained why Apple makes its devices in China. Let me quote from what he'd said. The number one reason why we like to be in China is the people. China has extraordinary skills. This is Tim Cook speaking. The products we do require really advanced tooling and the precision that you have to have. The tooling and working with the materials that we do are state of the art. And the tooling skill is very deep here. In the US, you could have a meeting of tooling engineers and I'm not sure we could fill the room. In China, you could fill multiple football fields. So that's why Tim Cook wanted to be in China. And he has no intentions of giving up on Beijing just yet. Last month, in fact, he was again in China. He met with the Chinese premier. He hailed what he called Apple's symbiotic relationship with the country. It was a word of assurance. It was basically a message to Beijing that Apple will not completely abandon China. But like every businessman, Tim Cook must contend with the present-day geopolitical realities. Tensions between Washington and Beijing are at an all-time high. The US has slapped a slew of sanctions on Chinese manufacturers. And the situation in the Taiwan Strait is even more volatile. Apple cannot afford to be caught in the crosshairs of a US-China fight, which is why it is keen on expanding in India. As far as Apple is concerned, this diversification is the need of the hour. And India is a clear beneficiary of this pivot. And India should make the most of it. It should use the case of Apple and lure more vulnerable businesses away from China.